learn a heck of a lot more about Big Brothers Big Sisters. Let's give Gabbi a warm welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, in small world, I actually went to high school with Steve Burkhalter, and we found that out after we made the connection. So small world, but thanks for having me. Let me figure out here how to share my screen for you. Okay, can everyone see this okay? Awesome. So I am Gabbi O'Connell. I'm the partnership coordinator at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Washtenaw County. We are a nonprofit group. We are a nationwide organization, but we are considered a small agency here in Washtenaw County. There are a few throughout Michigan and a ton throughout the country. So luckily this is an awesome organization that serves many kids throughout our whole nation. So we are a community of people that believe all youth should have supports to achieve their full potential. By community, we mean parents, the children, volunteers, our staff, and our donors and supporters in our community. We believe that children already have this inherent potential inside of them. They just need some adult supports to help them realize their potential and then achieve it. So what we do, we create and support one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of youth. This one-to-one concept is what makes us really unique as opposed to other youth nonprofit organizations. There are some other after-school programs that provide mentoring, but these are all in a group setting. And our one-to-one, we believe that this gives them kind of this special attention to really build a strong relationship between the mentor and the mentee in a one-to-one setting as opposed to a group. So there's a few different reasons why we do this. Young people with strong developmental relationships report social, emotional strength and other indicators of well-being and thriving. Second reason or main point of why is young people with strong relationships are more resilient in the face of stress and trauma. And young people do better when they have a strong web of relationships. I couldn't tell you the amount of times in my adult and professional life that I've heard so many times, it's all about who you know and the connections you make. So if, you know, that's kind of the same reason we're all here in the Caerusnet group is the connections we're making. So if we're doing this as adults and professionals, why wouldn't we do the same and provide these same connections to children? We're just providing them with new supports, new relationships, new connections so that they can be set up for success in life. Our studies show that children who have a positive adult mentor in their life end up being more confident. They are more likely to steer clear from drugs and alcohol. They do better in school. They get along better with their family and friends, and they just feel better about themselves. So we kind of base a lot of this on who believed in you when you were a kid. Was there someone that was dependable and listened to you, expected you to do your best, helped you navigate the world and respected you and broadened your horizons? Whether you know it or not, you probably had a bunch of mentors growing up. They may not have been in a formal setting, such as how we set these relationships up at Big Brothers Big Sisters, but it could have been a teacher who went out of their way, a coach who pushed you to do your best, or even just a family member or friend that you looked up to. There are studies that show children need 2 or 3 positive adult role models in their life other than their parents. So we're just trying to formally place these adult mentors and positive role models in the children's lives, just in a little bit more of a formal way. So our process and how we do this, we recruit, screen, train, match, and support volunteers to serve as what we call the bigs, so big brothers or big sisters, to the littles or the little brothers or little sisters, which are just the young people in our program. So we recruit volunteers, we enroll children ages 7 to 14 who live in Washtenaw County and want a mentor. Those 3 things, the age, living in Washtenaw County, and if the child wants a mentor, those are our only parameters for being a child enrolled in our program. Our volunteers are anyone 18 and up who can make a 1-year minimum commitment and have a car and valid car insurance and just want to be a friend to a kid. After we recruit and we find the volunteers, we do a screening process. We do background checks and an interview for potential big brothers and big sisters. We learn a lot about them, ask a bunch of questions, just to kind of figure out what they like, what their interests are, what they're hoping to get out of the program. And we do the same thing for the kids. We, you know, learn what they like to do, what they're hoping to find in a friend, an adult friend. And then we carefully match the big and little. We spend a lot of time on this process because we don't want to form relationships that will eventually fail. We're not going to force a kid who likes to play video games to hang out with an adult who hates video games and just wants to be outside all day. So we spend a lot of thoughtful time on creating these matches. And then once we do, we introduce the big to the parent and the child and see how they get along. If all parties agree, then that it will be a good match, then they go ahead and proceed as big brother, big sister with their little brother or little sister. And then after that, they can go out on their own and do whatever they want. We're not a tutoring organization. It's out in the community on their own time. They set it up just between the parent and the big, and they can just hang out and do whatever they want. We require the bigs to spend 1 year minimum with their littles so that they can really build that genuine relationship that will benefit the child. And it'll end up benefiting the volunteer in the end as well. They usually hang out about twice a month and for a few hours, and they can do whatever they want. Like I said, this isn't doing homework or babysitting. It's really just being a friend and doing what you want. You can take the little to their first Michigan football game, can learn to play guitar together, or even just something as simple as going to the library, picking out a book, going to get ice cream, going to the park, whatever you want. And then lastly, in this process of how we do it, the support part is really key. We have social workers as staff who each have a caseload of parents, children, and volunteers that they check in with every month and see how things are going, if they have any troubles, if they need advice. We give them training to do, so different things for how we can support the relationship to help build it into a genuine relationship and friendship. So what does it take to be a big? There are a lot of people that think they can't sign up to be a big brother, big sister because they don't think they'll be a good enough role model. They don't fully believe in themselves to do it. It's so much easier than you think to just be a friend to a kid. You just have to commit to them and have fun with them. There are a lot of people that also think they're too old to be a big brother or big sister, and that's not the case at all either. A lot of kids really just want someone to hang out with and experience new things with. They're just looking for a friend to look up to. So a lot of people are in their heads about being a big, and I think that a lot more people can do it than you would think. So there are multiple different ways that you can help. Our biggest need is always bigs. So becoming a big, we specifically need big brothers the most. We have a consistent wait list of about 100 kids that are always waiting to be matched, and this process can take sometimes 6 months or years for a child to be matched because we just simply don't have enough volunteers. Specifically, big brothers are our biggest need. So we understand that the 1 year commitment can be a lot for people. You've got your own lives, jobs, kids, work, whatever. So that is a big ask. And if you're not able to make that 1 year commitment, there are definitely other ways that you can help. Supporting one of our fundraising events. We usually have 2 big events a year. We're hoping in 2021 that things will still be normal for events. We're hoping to have a golf tournament sometime in the spring, and then as well as a dinner and auction in the fall. So you can sponsor these events, you can purchase tickets to the events. There are several different ways that you can support one of our fundraising events as an individual or a company or organization. I touched on this briefly earlier. Our Adopt a Family Holiday Giving Drive was super successful this year. So thank you to everyone who helped with that, helped spread the word or signed up. Like I mentioned, we are helping over 90 families receive Christmas gifts this year that otherwise probably wouldn't have had anything to open on Christmas. A lot of these families are also just receiving, basic household supplies, but they are super grateful. So thank you for that. And then we also do, back to school drives or what have you. And then spreading the word is really just the best way to help. We are always in need of just spreading the word and getting out there in the community so that we can help find the best way to support you, and you can find the best way to support us. That's pretty much my big spiel of what Big Brothers Big Sisters does. There's many different ways you can help, but really we are just here to help support kids who need a mentor, especially now because of COVID and kids being isolated from their friends, not being at school. They really just need a friend to help guide them in the right direction, be a positive role model, and ultimately, like I mentioned, just be a friend. Thank you.
Great information. How did you get involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters? What's your story? How did you drive into this space in life?
That is a great question, because I actually graduated from Michigan State with a degree in biomedical laboratory science, which is absolutely not this at all. I was part of a group in college that was called Camp Tessum, and they provide a week of free summer camp for children who have a parent affected by cancer. And so I did a lot of work with them even after college, working with youth and nonprofits, and decided that I was going to make a career out of that instead. So hopped on the internet one day and was just typing in youth and trying to figure out how I could help kids, and stumbled upon Big Brothers Big Sisters. So it's been great ever since. It's been about 1.5 years, but I've loved it.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Okay, does anybody else have any questions or comments for Gabbi in her presentation? Vince, please.
What is the max age limit to the ones receiving the Big Brothers or Big Sisters?
So we enroll children between the ages of 7 and 14, but say the child that you get paired with is 13, they can stay in the program up until 18. We just don't enroll children past the age of 14 because the enrollment process can take some time. So we don't want them to be on a wait list if they sign up at 16 and then never end up getting into the program. Because like I mentioned, unfortunately that wait list can take a while because we do need volunteers all the time. So we just try to avoid them signing up and never getting paired.
What's the average wait time?
For little sisters, it's shorter. It's usually 3 months just to get through the interview processes. We do a home inspection if the volunteer and the parents say it's okay for the child to go to the Big's home. By the time we do all of that, it's about 2 to 3 months. But for little brothers, we are telling parents right now 6 months to a year, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Great questions, Vince. Does anybody
Not a
else?
question, but well done, Gabbi, and go green.
Thank you. Go white.
All right, anybody else? It was great to hear that Alex did adopt a family as well too. So thank you very much for that, Alex. That spirit really does make an impact in a community. So thank you for that.
All the places we